The Casebook of Sherlock Holmes, 1927, Episode 2, The Mazarin Stone. Picture yourself at 221B Baker Street on a summer afternoon in 1903. Watson arrives to find Billy, the page boy, looking worried outside Holmes's door. "Dr. Watson, sir," Billy whispers urgently. "Mr. Holmes has been in there for 3 days, barely eating, not sleeping. He's working on the Mazarin Stone case. You've heard about it? The theft of the Crown Diamond. The Prime Minister himself has been here twice, insisting Mr. Holmes recover it before the scandal becomes public." Watson enters to find Holmes in his purple dressing gown, surrounded by newspapers, telegrams, and reference books. But something is immediately wrong. Holmes sits absolutely motionless in his chair, facing the window, not responding to Watson's greeting. "Holmes!" Watson calls, approaching cautiously. Still no response. Watson reaches out to touch his friend's shoulder, and his hand passes through air. It's not Holmes at all, but an incredibly lifelike wax dummy. Remarkable likeness, isn't it? Holmes's voice comes from behind Watson, who spins around to find his friend emerging from the bedroom. "Made by Tavernier, the French modeler. Cost me a fortune, but worth every penny. I've been sitting at that window for 3 days, making myself a target. Several people have taken shots at the dummy. You can see bullet holes in the window frame. But I remain frustratingly alive, which must be disappointing for Count Sylvius and his associate. Think about this opening, detective. Holmes has been using himself as bait, deliberately exposing what criminals believe is his position while actually observing from safety. It's typical Holmes, theatrical, risky, and psychologically brilliant. By making his enemies believe they know where he is, he maintains control while appearing vulnerable. Watson examined the dummy in amazement. "This is extraordinary, but Holmes, you said someone's been shooting at it? Who's trying to kill you?" Holmes settles into a chair, lighting his pipe. "Count Sylvius, the most dangerous man in London, and his equally dangerous partner, Sam Merton, a professional boxer with the brain of a child but the loyalty of a mastiff. Together, they've stolen the Mazarin Stone, and they're quite desperate to ensure I don't recover it." "The Mazarin Stone?" Watson asks. "I've read about it in the papers. The yellow diamond that belonged to the Crown of France, worth at least £100,000. It was stolen from the hotel room of Lord Cantlemere, who was transporting it to a private viewing at the British Museum, but the papers said the thieves remain unknown." Holmes smiles. "The papers are misinformed, as usual. I identified the thieves within hours, Count Sylvius and Sam Merton. Sylvius is a brilliant criminal, an expert card sharp who's been suspected of 3 murders but never convicted. He's also a big game hunter. His Baker Street lodgings are filled with tiger skins and elephant tusks. A man who enjoys killing." "Watson, whether it's animals or humans, when he learned I was investigating the theft, he immediately began plotting my death. Can you see the pattern here? Holmes faces another Moriarty-type criminal, brilliant, ruthless, and absolutely without conscience. Count Sylvius sees murder as simply a practical solution to problems, no different from shooting a tiger in India. It's the kind of opponent who makes cases genuinely dangerous." "But if you know they stole it," Watson asks, "why haven't you had them arrested?" Holmes's expression becomes frustrated. "Because I cannot prove it, and more importantly, I cannot locate the stone. Sylvius is too clever to keep it on his person or in any obvious location. He's hidden it somewhere, and until I recover it, arresting him would be pointless. He'd be released within hours for lack of evidence, and the stone would disappear forever, probably sold to some foreign collector who doesn't care about its stolen status. So I've been applying pressure," Holmes continues. "I've let Sylvius know I'm investigating him. I followed his movements, interviewed his associates, made it clear he's under surveillance. The goal is to make him nervous enough to check on the stone's hiding place, which will lead me directly to it. But he's responded by trying to kill me, which complicates matters. Think about this strategy. Holmes is deliberately antagonizing a murderer, using his own life as the lure to draw out the location of stolen property. It's bold to the point of recklessness, and Watson's expression shows his disapproval. Holmes, this is madness. You're making yourself a target to recover a jewel? Is any amount of money worth your life? It's not about the money, Watson, Holmes responds seriously. The Mazarin Stone is a historical artifact of immense cultural value. It's been in the French crown since 1661, survived the Revolution, and was purchased by private collectors to preserve it. If it disappears into the underground market, it will likely be recut into smaller stones to disguise its identity, destroying centuries of history for mere profit. That cannot be allowed. At that moment, Billy announces visitors. Lord Cantlemere to see you, Mr. Holmes. A pompous nobleman enters, clearly furious. Holmes, I demand to know your progress. 3 days since the theft, and the stone remains missing. The Prime Minister is considering bringing in Scotland Yard to replace you. Your reputation may be formidable, but results are what matter. Holmes remains calm in the face of this tirade. Lord Cantlemere, I ask for your patience for just a few more hours. I believe Count Sylvius will make his move tonight. When he does, I'll recover the stone and deliver both it and the thieves to you simultaneously. Cantlemere huffs skeptically, but agrees to return that evening. After Cantlemere leaves, Watson asks the question burning in his mind. What move? What are you expecting Sylvius to do? Holmes's eyes gleam with anticipation. I've arranged for Sylvius to learn that I'll be out tonight attending a concert, very publicly visible. He'll believe he has a window of opportunity to check on the stone, perhaps even to move it to a safer location. When he does, I'll be watching. But Holmes, Watson protests, if you're at a concert, how can you be watching him? Holmes's smile is mischievous. I won't be at the concert, Watson. That's what Sylvius will believe, but I'll actually be right here, waiting for him to come to me. You see, I have reason to believe the Mazarin Stone is hidden very close by, possibly even in this very building. Can you see the trap forming? Holmes has spent 3 days making himself a visible, vulnerable target. Now he's spreading false information about being away, creating what appears to be the perfect opportunity for his enemies to act. But instead of being absent, he'll be waiting in ambush. It's psychological manipulation at its finest. Holmes positions Watson in the bedroom with a view of the sitting room. You'll observe, but not interfere unless I signal you. I want Sylvius to feel completely safe, completely in control. Only then will he reveal where he's hidden the stone. Watson reluctantly agrees, though he insists on keeping his service revolver ready. As darkness falls, Holmes dims the lights in the sitting room, leaving only a lamp illuminating his chair, where the wax dummy sits in his characteristic pose. Holmes himself hides behind a curtain near the door, waiting with the patience of a hunter in a blind. Hours pass in tense silence. Finally, around midnight, they hear careful footsteps on the stairs. The door opens slowly, and 2 men enter. Count Sylvius, tall, aristocratic, with cold eyes and a cruel mouth, and Sam Merton, massive, brutish, with the flattened nose and scarred face of a professional boxer. Both carry pistols, moving with the confidence of men who believe their enemy is miles away at a concert. There's his chair, Merton whispers. Should we wait for him to come back? Put a bullet in him when he sits down? Sylvius shakes his head. No need for more shooting. Holmes thinks we're desperate, that we'll make mistakes. Let him think that while we prepare to leave England with the stone, I just want to ensure our hiding place hasn't been discovered. Think about this moment, detective. The criminals have walked directly into Holmes's trap, but they don't know it yet. Holmes watches from his hiding place, waiting for them to reveal the stone's location. It's the culmination of 3 days of careful manipulation. Sylvius approaches a corner of the room where Holmes keeps a collection of curiosities. He reaches toward a cabinet, and Holmes makes his move. "Good evening, Count Sylvius. Mr. Merton, how kind of you to visit." He steps into view, and both criminals spin around in shock. Their pistols rise, but Holmes already has his own weapon trained on them. "I wouldn't. Dr. Watson in the next room also has you covered. You're rather outnumbered." Merton's face contorts with confusion and rage. "But you're at a concert. We saw the notice in the paper. You couldn't be here." Holmes's laugh is genuine. "My dear Mr. Merton, do you really think I publish my true whereabouts in newspapers for criminals to read? The concert story was bait, and you swallowed it completely. Now, shall we discuss the Mazarin Stone? Or would you prefer I simply call the police and have you arrested for breaking and entering with deadly weapons?" Sylvius, being more intelligent than his partner, immediately calculates odds and decides cooperation might serve him better than violence. "Very clever, Holmes. I congratulate you on the trap, but you still can't prove we stole the diamond. Without the stone itself, you have nothing but circumstantial evidence. Will be released within hours." "Ah," Holmes says, "but you were about to show me where you've hidden it. You came here tonight to check on your hiding place, which means it's somewhere in this building. In fact, given your trajectory toward my curiosity cabinet, I'd say it's hidden among my collection of artifacts. Shall we look together? Can you appreciate the elegance of this deduction?" Holmes has maneuvered Sylvius into revealing the stone's location without the criminal even realizing he's done so. It's detective work and psychological manipulation combined at the highest level. But Sylvius isn't defeated yet. "You're guessing, Holmes. You have no proof the stone is here. Search all you like. You won't find anything." His confidence seems genuine, which troubles Watson watching from the bedroom. What if Holmes is wrong? What if the stone isn't here after all? Holmes ignores Sylvius's bluster and begins examining his curiosity cabinet. Methodically, he removes artifacts one by one, ancient coins, carved idols, geological specimens. Watson watches with growing tension as each item proves to be exactly what it appears. Then Holmes reaches for a large hollow African sculpture, a carved wooden elephant. "This piece," Holmes says conversationally, "was delivered to me last week by a dealer I sometimes work with. He said it came from an estate sale, offered at a remarkably low price. I thought nothing of it at the time, just another addition to my collection. But now I wonder." He examines the elephant's base and finds a hidden compartment. Inside, wrapped in cotton wool, is a brilliant yellow diamond the size of a chestnut. "The Mazarin Stone," Holmes announces triumphantly. "You hid it in my own room, Sylvius. Brilliant, really. Who would think to search the detective's own collection for stolen property? It's the last place anyone would look. You could leave it here safely while you arrange transport out of England, then retrieve it at your leisure, except you underestimated my ability to predict your movements. Think about this hiding place, detective. It's audacious, clever, and nearly worked. By hiding the stone among Holmes's own possessions, Sylvius created a situation where, even if the police searched everywhere else in London, they'd never think to search 221B Baker Street. Only Holmes's Psychological manipulation forced Sylvius to reveal the location through his own actions. Sylvius's face has gone pale with fury and defeat. You've won this round, Holmes, but this isn't over. I have resources, connections, and a very long memory. One day you'll make a mistake, and when you do, I'll be there. Holmes's response is cold. Count on it, Sylvius, but make your threats from prison where you'll have plenty of time to plot revenge you'll never execute. Watson emerges from the bedroom as Billy summons the police. Inspector Youhal arrives with constables, and Sylvius and Merton are arrested. The Count maintains his aristocratic composure, even in handcuffs, while Merton seems bewildered by how quickly their situation collapsed. How did he know? Merton keeps asking. How did Holmes know we'd come tonight? Because he understands criminal psychology, Watson explains to the boxer, not unkindly. He knew you'd need to check on the stone once you believed he was elsewhere. He created the opportunity you couldn't resist, then waited for you to take it. You were playing checkers while he was playing chess. Lord Cantlemere returns as promised, and Holmes presents him with the Mazarin Stone. Cantlemere examines it carefully, testing its authenticity with a jeweler's loupe he carries for the purpose. Genuine, he finally admits. Well done, Holmes, though I confess I had doubts about your theatrical methods. All this business with dummies and fake newspaper notices seemed unnecessarily complicated. Holmes accepts the backhanded compliment graciously. Results justify methods, Lord Cantlemere. The stone is recovered, the thieves are caught, and the scandal has been avoided. The Crown will be pleased, and you can transport the stone to the museum exhibition as originally planned. Cantlemere leaves with the diamond, already composing the report that will make him look good to his superiors. After everyone departs, Watson and Holmes settle in for a late whiskey. Holmes, Watson says, you took enormous risks in this case, using yourself as bait, allowing dangerous criminals into your rooms, banking everything on psychological manipulation. What if Sylvius hadn't come tonight? What if he'd simply decided to flee England with the stone still hidden here? Holmes considers the question seriously. Then I would have searched my rooms systematically until I found it. But Watson, I was confident Sylvius would come. Men like him are creatures of pride and ego. He couldn't resist the opportunity to prove himself cleverer than me. That predictability is their weakness. They think they're playing a game of wits when actually they're following a script I wrote for them. But the wax dummy, Watson persists, the fake concert announcements, the 3-day vigil, wasn't all that unnecessarily elaborate? Holmes smiles. Perhaps, but Watson, you know me. I could have simply searched my rooms, found the diamond, and had Sylvius arrested, but where's the satisfaction in that? I wanted him to understand that he'd been outmaneuvered at every turn, that his clever hiding place was anticipated, that his psychological warfare was turned against him. The method matters as much as the result. So tell me, detective, is Holmes's theatrical approach justified? Does the psychological victory over criminals serve a purpose beyond ego gratification? Or is Watson right to suggest that simpler, more direct methods would suffice? It's a question that reveals the difference between competent detective work and the art form Holmes has made of it. The case concludes with Count Sylvius and Sam Merton facing trial for theft and attempted murder. The shots at Holmes's window. Sylvius maintains his aristocratic bearing throughout. Treating the proceedings as a temporary inconvenience, he's sentenced to 15 years in prison, which he accepts with the same cold calm he'd shown when plotting murders. Sam Merton, being less culpable and more sympathetic, a loyal fool rather than a calculating villain, receives a lighter sentence of 5 years. In prison, he actually becomes a model inmate, teaching boxing to other prisoners and eventually finding legitimate work as a trainer after his release. Some people can be redeemed, it seems, when removed from bad influences. The Mazarin Stone is returned to Lord Cantlemere's custody and successfully displayed at the British Museum exhibition. It draws enormous crowds, all unaware of the drama that nearly resulted in its permanent loss. The stone eventually returns to its private owners, who keep it in a vault under enhanced security. Having learned that historical artifacts attract not just admirers but thieves, Holmes receives official thanks from the Prime Minister and an unofficial suggestion that a knighthood might be in order for his service. He declines immediately. "I work for the satisfaction of solving puzzles and serving justice, not for titles and honors." The recovery of the stone is reward enough. Watson notes this response in his journal, adding, "Holmes's indifference to recognition remains one of his most admirable qualities." Billy, the page boy, becomes a hero of his own small story. He tells everyone at his local pub about the wax dummy, the midnight confrontation, and his role in summoning the police at the critical moment. His tale grows more embellished with each telling until he's practically a co-investigator in Holmes's adventure. Watson smiles at these exaggerations but doesn't correct them. Let the boy have his moment of glory. The wax dummy itself becomes something of a fixture at 221B Baker Street. Holmes keeps it in a corner, occasionally positioning it in his chair when he wants visitors to believe he's present when he's actually elsewhere. It proves useful in several later cases, though never again quite so dramatically as in the Mazarin Stone affair, Watson reflects in his journal. The Mazarin case demonstrated Holmes at his most theatrical and perhaps most self-indulgent. Was all the elaborate staging necessary? Probably not, but it resulted in total victory. Stone recovered, criminals captured, danger neutralized. Perhaps there's value in psychological dominance beyond mere practical success. By so thoroughly defeating Sylvius, Holmes may have deterred other criminals from attempting similar thefts. Fear of Holmes's methods becomes as effective a deterrent as the methods themselves.